General Hospital Recap, October 27, October 31, 2025. Monica's will resurfaces, and it could stop Drew's takeover in its tracks. Here is the General Hospital Weekly Recap for episodes that aired October 27th through October 31st, 2025. Tracy found Monica's will just as Ronnie hesitated to sign away the mansion, and Drew plotted his next move, convinced nothing could stop him this time. What happened on General Hospital? This week on General Hospital, at the hospital, Portia juggled paperwork and Isaiah's lips, barely hiding the chemistry when Trina walked in. Trina hoped her parents could still be friends, and Portia promised they could. Later, she urged her daughter to accept Kai's dinner invite, still hiding the fact that she had other plans at Isaiah's cabin. Curtis admitted to Jordan that he tried to save his marriage for Trina's sake, but wasn't blind to what was left between them. He confessed he ended things too soon. Jordan listened, but didn't reach for him. At Bobby's, Shio told Emma that Lois said what he needed to hear, that family didn't always look the way you expected. He admitted nobody would replace his late mother, but maybe he could still find room for Brooklyn and Dante. Emma changed the subject to Dalton. Shio said it was time to strike. At Lulu's, Nathan told her Rocco was a good kid, and reminded her that secrets only get bigger when ignored. Lulu promised to give her son space to confess. At the Quartermain mansion, Laura walked in on Drew threatening Danny and Rocco with jail time. Ronnie stood between them, disgusted. She told Drew he dishonored Monica's memory, that men like him didn't deserve this house. Laura backed her up, telling Drew she wouldn't let him pit the boys against each other. Ronnie threw Drew out. Laura called it justice served and officially welcomed Ronnie to the family. Elsewhere, Rocco, Danny, and Charlotte compared battle scars over hot chocolate. Emma and Gio crashed their hangout, recruiting them to help expose Dalton's animal testing. At the Metro Court, Sonny warned Marco not to let Sidwell drag him down. Minutes later, Sidwell appeared, plotting payback for his ex-wife's death. He told his son that Sonny would pay soon. Martin joined them to talk politics and peers. Sidwell reminded him that Measure C mattered, and he needed Drew on his side. Christina told Sonny that Alexis had taken Willow's case and might try to pin the shooting on Michael. Marco and Sidwell interrupted to clear the air. Sonny called their bluff, warning Sidwell to come for him like a man, not a coward. Sidwell smiled and said he planned to. Drew ranted to Martin about losing the mansion and vowed to take it from Tracy piece by piece. Laura caught up with Ronnie afterward, trading stories about old Quartermain scandals. Ronnie laughed, realizing Monica's messiness was part of her charm. Laura said Monica left the house to Ronnie so she'd finally have a family. At Isaiah's cabin, Portia arrived late, but the wine went untouched. When Isaiah got called back to the hospital, he left her the key and told her to stay. Curtis showed up at Jordan's door later, still wondering what Portia hadn't told him. Jordan finally said it. She couldn't give Curtis another chance because Portia was pregnant. Curtis bolted to find his wife. At the cabin, Portia and Isaiah were tangled in sheets when he got Paige. He left her dinner and a key, promising he'd return. Portia stared at the door, thinking about what she'd just done. At the Metro Court, Jason cornered Carly about her dinner with Jack. She admitted she was keeping him close to protect Joss from the WSB. Jason didn't like it, but Jack's arrival ended the argument. Carly soothed Jack with praise until he left uneasy. Ned pushed Tracy to make peace with Ronnie and reclaim her place at the mansion. Tracy called it beneath her. Ned said grandfather would be ashamed. Upstairs at Crimson, Nina told Ava that Willow still hated her, but she'd keep fighting. Michael dropped in with Jacinda, introducing her as Nina's new assistant. Nina nearly combusted. Ava cut the argument short, reminding Nina she didn't need more bad press. When Michael left, Nina offered Jacinda a bribe to drop her alibi for him, but Jacinda refused. That night, Martin appeared at the mansion and revealed the truth. He'd written Ronnie into Monica's will to get revenge on Tracy. Ronnie realized he'd also drugged her tea. Martin threatened her into silence, saying that if she didn't sell to Drew, she'd go down alone. Shaken, Ronnie said she wanted out. At General Hospital, Curtis asked Isaiah where Portia was. Isaiah snapped. Curtis left for the cabin. Portia called Ava for help, admitting she needed advice. Hannah told Jason that Jack's operation was connected to Faison and Sidwell, and if they were going to save Joss, they'd need to move fast. Tracy arrived at the mansion with Ned, Olivia, and Michael, apologizing for the tea party fiasco. Ronnie smiled and said she decided to sell the house after all. Britt and Liz clashed again at the hospital before Nathan appeared, reminding his sister that Lulu had every right to be angry. He told her to back off Rocco if she wanted peace. Curtis caught Laura in the hallway and admitted he still had feelings for Jordan, but if Portia was pregnant, he'd do what was right. Laura asked if right meant happy. Curtis didn't answer. Dante and Lulu sparred over parenting tactics after confronting Rocco about dinner with Albrecht. Charlotte covered for her brother, and Lulu reminded Dante that interrogation isn't parenting. Portia confessed to Ava that she was pregnant and didn't know if the father was Curtis or Isaiah. Ava poured another round and promised to stand by her. At Crimson, Nina waved a check in front of Jacinda, trying to buy her silence. Drew walked in, accusing Nina of bribery, then revealed his own scheme to buy the mansion to push Michael over the edge. Nina said it'd work. Michael was already close. At the Quartermains, Ronnie told the family the house was too big and that she'd already sold it. Drew walked in and said, "To me." Tracy erupted. Ronnie looked like she wanted to vanish. Michael met Jacinda, who told him Nina had tried to buy her off. Michael offered double, but admitted he wanted trust, not a transaction. At General Hospital, Laura advised Curtis that staying together for a child doesn't make a family. He said he wanted both, the baby and Jordan. Curtis showed up at Portia's office and asked straight out if she was pregnant. Jason surprised Britt with a car key instead of bad news. Portia admitted to Curtis that she was 10 weeks along and planned to keep the baby. He wanted to talk about family. She accused him of spending too much time with Jordan. He reminded her he wouldn't miss another child's life. Later, Sonny met Laura, who warned him that Drew was spiraling. Across the room, ABA Turner grilled Jordan about Sonny's weak spots. Jordan said he never leaves evidence but cares too much about his image. When Sonny spotted Justine, he approached, apologized for pushing her, and offered dinner. She agreed, as long as it wasn't at his place. Lulu and Tracy nursed drinks until Drew and Martin swaggered in. Drew gloated about buying the mansion, taunting that he'd auction off the furniture next. Jason appeared and kicked out Drew's cane, sending him flat on the floor. Tracy laughed harder than ever. Across town, Cotty enlisted Molly's help to challenge the sale. They nearly kissed before Drew showed up to ruin it. At Lulu's, Tracy unearthed Alan's diploma and finally broke down. Lulu stayed quiet and held her. Back at the mansion, Cody told Drew he had no right to be there yet. Molly cited the law. Drew smirked and said he would soon enough. Martin told Laura that he was representing Drew again and was working with Sidwell on behalf of Measure C. They agreed that you didn't have to like the person you were working with. Drew told Nina that he was gonna pin the shooting on Michael, but Nina told him that it would backfire and Willow would end up in prison. Sidwell showed up at Dalton's office with Britt, and he told Dalton that he was pretty much useless. Sidwell informed Dalton that Britt would be his boss now. After Tracy and Lulu were wrangling boxes, Lucy barged in and said it looked like the place was in need of an estate sale. Lucy told her that she didn't have to face everything alone, and the two reminisced about the family and the house while going through Tracy's boxes of heirlooms. Lucy later told Tracy that the family could buy a house somewhere else and start over with fresh memories, and Tracy kind of agreed. In a nice nod to One Life to Live, Ronnie went into Bobby's and saw Jack and called him Joey. Emma told Gio that she was going to Dalton's lab alone, but said she would keep him up to date on what was going on. She then kissed him before she left. Sonny told Michael that Alexis would use all of Willow's woes and that it would draw the wrong attention to Michael. During their discussion, Michael got heated, and Sonny said if he spoke that way on the stand, he would not do well. Nina told Drew that his savior act was wearing thin, but he countered that if she had any hope of getting into Willow's life, she better start showing him some gratitude. Laura advised Lulu to be the bigger person in the Rocco and Charlotte situation. Ronnie admitted to Michael that she was in too far over her head not to sell to Drew. Dalton told Britt that their project had the potential to recalibrate the entire energy landscape, and there were people who would pay an obscene amount of money for it. He then said they should cut Sidwell out of the scheme altogether and reap the profits from it. Then Emma walked in and asked what Britt was doing there. Jack told Carly and Lulu that